Good afternoon, and thank you, Patrick, and to the Dialog group for hosting this event and inviting us to participate. I'm Greg Vanden Heuvel. I'm the EVP and GM of EngageOne from Precisely. Last year, we participated in this event with hundreds of customers in Holland, and today we meet digitally. COVID has changed things for us personally, from a business perspective, and really how we think about customer experience. On the next slide, the pandemic really has changed customer engagement forever. Organizations have been forced to digitally transform whether they like it or not. Customer engagement is now digitally driven. But do organizations have the right experience optimized for customer engagement in this new normal? With this in mind, we undertook two very important research pieces, one with Corinium Intelligence, looking at business leaders, and the other one with the CMO Council, talking directly to consumers. On the next slide, the first was a report with Corinium. We conducted a survey of over 100 UK CX leaders. These were companies with 10,000 employees or greater, and we conducted this survey in August and September. We interviewed department heads, directors, VPs, SVPs, and C-level executives, and they were asked questions about how the global pandemic has affected customer behavior, how it changed their organization's perception of CX, and what disruption COVID-19 has meant for their CX strategies and investment plans. The findings really can be broken down into four categories: the COVID effect on CX strategy. Secondly, the customer behavior changed as a result of COVID and what customers want. Third, the barriers of success. And finally, the technology CX leaders are investing in. If we just hold on that slide for a moment, what we found was that COVID has in fact been a huge influencing factor on CX strategies. 35% of leaders, 35% of the leaders that we actually interviewed are viewing CX strategy as more important than before COVID, and 19% are viewing CX strategy as their top priority. And these shifts in strategy and execution have been caused by COVID. They're actually going to have a permanent and very lasting effect. 33% of those surveyed say they expect to shutter some stores, branches, and offices, and 25% say they expect digital experiences to replace brick and mortar entirely. This digital shift is permanent and will permeate out to all types of experiences we will provide to customers moving forward. So on the next slide, we have to think about the customers. Customers are now expecting even greater digital experiences. CX leaders have noticed some big changes in their customer behavior. In just a few months, 50% of those customers surveyed are now expecting more seamless and integrated experiences. 55% say they are now likely to expect more digital self-serve or digital tools to be available. And 54% say customers are more open to using chatbots or similar automated tools to self-serve their experience. On the next slide, we wanted to hear not only from business leaders, go back one, Patrick. We wanted to hear not only from business leaders, but we wanted to speak to customers themselves. So for the second year in a row, we partnered with the CMO Council. We surveyed more than 2,000 consumers across 6 countries, representing all 5 key generations, to understand how COVID affected their preferences in communicating with brands, what channels they were putting more importance on, and what was really going on to make or break a relationship with these brands. So on the next slide, we'll see the top 5 traits that consumers want when communicating with brands. and it shows a real shift to this new digital first world. Number one, consumers want the ability to escalate to a live person who can help them when needed. Now, this doesn't mean consumers are going to speak to a live person, but knowing they can have access to that channel if and when they need it is the number one trait customers want from their brands. Number two, communication has to be personalized based on previous interactions with the organizations. Consumers felt brands should know who they are, they should know their history, so that they can have a more seamless experience. This is critical to a consumer or a CX experience. Number three, the communication has to allow consumers to digitally self-serve, to get the answers they need quickly. Again, to see a digital self-serve experience as the top priority for consumers this year is critical. Number four, communication has to be based on context of the engagement. So using real-time data in a very smart way is critical to a seamless experience. And finally, the experience has to allow a consumer to select the engagement channels of choice that they want at any time. So an omni-channel experience is critical. Next slide, Patrick. So what happens when you get it wrong? So our research shows that consumers or customers are increasingly getting frustrated with disconnected experiences. What do we mean by disconnected? It means an experience that doesn't flow across channels of engagement in a very seamless way. Customers want an experience that pivots from one channel of engagement to another without having to repeat themselves. As you can see in this survey, 87% are suggesting they're getting frustrated. And more importantly, 73% are suggesting that this frustration is leading to brand abandonment. So what's this mean in the world of CX? Well, on the next slide, you can see there have been shifting priorities of CX leaders and the key channels of engagement that consumers are demanding. So what's this mean from an investment perspective? Where do you need to place your bets to meet and exceed customer expectations? So to answer these questions, we pivoted back to our original Corinium research, and we asked the question to our CX leaders of where they will be investing in 2021. And this is what they told us. 60% of the CX leaders say they want to invest in digital data integration. You must ensure you're using the most accurate and comprehensive data to enhance your digital engagements. Second, 46% of the leaders want to invest in multi-channel CX platforms that allow for a connected digital experience. 42% of the respondents want to invest in chatbots with live takeover capabilities. And 37% want to invest in chatbots with natural language processing engines. You see, not all chatbots are created equal. You must ensure that you're deploying a chatbot which has the elements that customers want to use. 37% say they're investing in digital self-service platforms. Customers want digital self-service. And finally, and most innovatively, 32% want to invest in interactive, personalized video content, not static video content that greets you by name, tells you what the weather is like. They want real data to create interactive, unique video experiences that are highly personalized to each individual user. We are going to see some of these exciting technologies in action this afternoon as we welcome our presenters. Patrick, on the last slide, I really want to thank you and the Dialog group again for hosting this event. I hope this sets the stage for the remainder of the presentations. I hope everyone enjoys the afternoon, and thank you very much for the invite to today.
Well, Greg, thank you very much for those kind words, and I'll have to give them right back to you, as we're proud and honored that you came out of bed so early, because we know it's 7 o'clock in the morning for you. So thank you for that, but also for sponsoring this event and helping us out in our times of need with customers. So we're mutually dependent, right? So that's what we like. I've got a question. This is really interesting piece of research, and to all the viewers at home, you'll get this research from us. But what I wanted to know is, you run the company that offers a lot of the solutions that this research talks about. How did this influence you running the business, and did it shift your priorities?
Yeah, it did. You're going to see from both Gerhard and Chris some exciting technology that we've been working on. We've invested more heavily in not only the digital self-serve experience, but chatbots, interactive and personalized video, making the user experience more interactive and easy to navigate. And we've also connected our responsive messaging platform to these two types of channels: video, chat, and responsive messaging, all connected in one seamless platform that you can turn on or off those channels as needed. We're finding that based on this research, businesses require innovative channels like this to engage consumers in a more unique and differentiated way. So we have invested heavily in this technology, and I think you'll find the demonstrations and presentations that Chris and Gerhard will give you will be highly engaging.
Okay, that's good to know, and I'm sure they will. As a matter of fact, in our own demo, we heavily make use of the technology to do our digital car insurance onboarding, which I invite you to look at, because we've translated it in English. I would be proud to give it to you personally. Do I see there's a question for you from the audience?
Yes, there is a question of Gaston. So, yeah, the research found that 55% of the CX leaders say their customers now expect a seamless self-service experience. What experiences and channels should businesses integrate first to get the highest return on their investment? Where is the biggest opportunity? So, Greg.
Yeah, great question. Thank you for asking that. So look, if the data is wrong, the experience will be wrong. You have to integrate the data up front. Understanding the consumer, their behavior, and orchestrating that data in a way that provides for a very unique communication is critical. I would start with making sure your data is right. It's highly integrated with marketing platforms, with ERP platforms, and with other platforms is vital. Otherwise, every form of communication that you push out will be wrong. And that would be a starting point. The second place I would look at is making sure that you have connected channels. There's over 15 channels on average deployed by businesses today. And most of those channels are not connected at all, which leads to CX problems and frustration. So I would make sure that your channels are fully connected across the departments in which you operate your CX experiences through.
Yeah, clear answer. And another question, personal one. As a global leader of the company and being international, do you see big differences in the world during this pandemic of requests or focus on certain channels or communication?
You know, not a lot of differences. I did get a call, interesting, out of the UK as COVID broke out, from a CEO whose call center unexpectedly was abandoned. He had 40 people deployed in his call center. It vacated overnight. He found that he could not answer customer questions. This was a utility company that had to provide services to its customers, and he asked for help. And that same cry for help came from Milan, a customer that a CEO I was talking to out of Milan. It's the same situation. Companies felt like they had digitally transformed and were prepared for just about anything. But when call centers vacated and they were unable to answer the questions, they realized that their CX strategies had fallen short and their plans to execute had fallen short. So we were asked to deploy chatbots in that call center in the UK. We did so in 5 days with live agent takeover, and we satisfied that customer in a very, very unique way. We found these cries for help globally. It's no different in the US than it is in Italy, the UK, Germany, or Holland. The same issues are prevalent.
Thank you, Greg. With that unifying message, so to speak, that's a good way to end this one. Again, thank you for getting out of bed so early. You're welcome to log on into the platform, view the other presentation, and have discussions with us. Thank you so very much.